Recording started.
What's up, everybody? My name is Brandon, aka BMax78, with episode 6 of the Anime Dojo. We're going to be going through Hell's Paradise episode 8 and Demon Slayer episode 7. We'll take a little break in between just for a couple minutes or so, just to after this episode each after Hell's Paradise, but no worries there. We're going to do the full podcast tonight. Chris, how you doing, by the way?
Oh man, I'm ecstatic. I'm absolutely. Oh my god, I'm ready to get into it, man.
Before we do, there is one thing I want to mention. Did I send you the charts from last week for Anime Corner?
Not from last week, no.
No. So, here, let me do that now. Actually, I'm gonna send. Basically, with Anime Corner, they did the charts for this past week, and there's some there is an interesting thing on this chart, which I'm surprised we got. So OSHI no KO stayed the same place. And Hell's Paradise went up 2 spots. Demon Slayer dropped a spot. We have Love Hina at level 999. Vinland Saga is at 6. Magic and Muscles, which when me and Chris have been watching, that is at number 9 now. And that's pretty much the main ones we've been keeping up with. First question I have for you, Chris. What do you think about Hell's Paradise jumping 2 spots and Demon Slayer dropping a spot? Why would that happen? Because in this case, the last episode for Hell's Paradise had a lot of action in it and a lot of stuff. Demon Slayer also had a lot of stuff, so it's just fans are getting more into one over the other.
You could say that, but I think so. It's like now, Demon Slayer has had nonstop action since episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I do admit they do keep ramping up the action, but you can only ramp it up so much before people start getting tired of it, overstimulated.
Correct.
Now with Hell's Paradise, I can see why it jumped up because it actually gave us a heartbreaking story, which we'll be getting into here pretty soon. So, yeah,
correct.
There's nothing like an anime or a show that tugs on your heartstrings.
Yes. I think out of all this list, some of the stuff's pretty normal. Vinland Saga, no KO, Love Hina 9000, which jumped up 2 spots from 4, or Love Hina went down 1 spot from 3 to 4. I'm actually surprised Magic and Muscles is on here at 9. I know the first couple charts had it at like 9 or 10. I think it was at one point like 8. So it's got back up. We haven't got to the episode that they're talking about here, but it's just a funny show. It's a funny show, comedy show, or more comedic show, but it does it very well. So I'm not surprised.
I think you said it best, Brandon. I think you said it best. It's kind of like a very funny parody of Harry Potter. So yeah.
Yes, it's a very funny like parody of Harry Potter, which is not a bad thing. I think that's a good. If you're gonna mimic Magic School and you're using Harry Potter as a base, make it funny. Don't have to make it serious.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what next week. I'll be interested to see what next week charts are going to be like. Only because I'm going to mention this here. We are doing the podcast next Tuesday, but Hell Paradise is going to take a week off, so episode 9 is not coming out until June 2nd. So we only going to have Demon Slayer for the podcast, and we might talk about Magic and Muscles and other things we've been watching, like Genlock and stuff like that. So we might supplement that with other things. But why do you think Hell's Paradise is taking that week off? Is it just because they want to give it a break and maybe just give people more time to stew over the last episode, or is it just kind of like they are maybe just built in this break personally?
Yeah, I honestly am not really sure, but if I had to guess, I would think it's maybe they just gave their animators a break, Everybody needs a little break.
Yeah.
Or either that,
Yeah.
or either that, or that could be a way to kind of save money to put more money into one episode to make it more
Impactful.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That wouldn't have surprised me either way. I think that's the one thing I think with the fact that with Hell's Paradise, the action's ramped up, but also the style and everything is ramped up too. So uh, it's not like they have lost any people for story. I think they're just kind of like you say, take a little break. Don't push yourself too hard. Maybe just give people that time to make a really good episode 9 and just kind of make it the best it can be.
Right.
The last thing I'm going to ask about, with us being on the back half of most of these seasons now, we're at 8, 9 for most of these episodes, 7 or 8 or 9. What do you think so far of this spring season for most of the shows? Or what do you think?
It has been absolutely great, man. It's been very impactful, and I feel like what they've done this year for anime as a whole is that they've made this such a great season, and then they're going to what's supposed to be another great season. So
going into winter, right? We're going to the winter season. We'll start having, or summer technically. We'll have a lot. They're building into that.
Yeah, so we're going into the summer animes, and then I haven't heard anything about any potential fall animes. How about you?
The only one I know about that is technically going to be a fall anime is the show's called Overtake. It's a Formula 1 based racing anime. I heard that coming in fall. Mappa did their showcase, which I'm going to mention. They talked about Attack on Titan, but they didn't give a date for that. I'm assuming that's going to be fall as well, because that's just a bigger show you can show in the fall and have people just have something big to watch. I don't know. I'm going to be interested to see what the fall lineup brings, because this spring lineup has been pretty strong with a mix of Ikase's comedy, horror, but also you have things like romance, you have slice of life, so you have a lot here. I hope you can stay that varied in the spring and fall, or in the summer and fall, because I think that's the one thing that people have been really happy about. There's no clear cut top anime this spring season. Technically, I think it's just been up and down just based on how the shows have been.
I've always had a little personal theory that these companies they kind of talk with each other to make sure one doesn't get too overshadowed by the other.
I can see that. The same way with which one are you referring to?
Mostly kind of referring to kind of like when Dragon Ball Super came out. There weren't a lot of other good animes that were just showing. I mean, there were a few notable ones, but I remember there weren't a whole lot. So, yeah.
Do you think? Because the thing it always brings me back to is when games come out. So when Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, that forced a lot of companies to go. At the time, not all companies, but some of the companies went, we just need to move out of the way of Red Dead, because Red Dead's just gonna pretty much blow us out the water. So everybody moved from what they had early spring to late spring, early summer. Is that the same kind of thing here, where it's you have your Demon Slayers, you have your Hell Paradise, you have Magic and Muscles, you have Love Hina, you have Vinland Saga, you have No KO, but these aren't cannibalizing each other because they're all pretty different across the board.
Exactly.
There's no one big show. Yeah.
Right, and if you really want to be honest, if you want to put a magnifying glass on that idea, Hell's Paradise comes out on Saturday, and Demon Slayer comes out on Sunday.
Correct. And a cheat skill in Another World comes out on Monday. So they don't all come out on the same day.
Mm-hmm. So supposedly they had one major anime coming out once a day.
Yeah. So it kind of gives you that space. I think No KO comes out like on a Wednesday or Thursday, technically. So it's like they try to spread them out, which just makes sense if you're not gonna have all your shows running on the same day or like on the same 2 days because you don't want people to get burned out.
Correct.
So you have something looking forward to. But as we're talking about this, I hope you're getting Hell's Paradise episode 8 up. Before we get into the episode, I'm going to ask you this, Chris. Watching the first time, what was your first impression of this? Because the first thing I thought of, and it's something we've already watched, Demon Slayer episode 6. I think it is 6, where it was the episode where we learn about Ginyu's mom and everything. This had the same emotional weight as that, just with a different side of that story, different version of that story.
Which is really interesting that the two studios probably had no idea that the episodes were going to come out like that. No,
not at all.
So with that being said, man, I honestly have no opinion on that because it was for me it was random. You know, like
yeah, it was random. Do you think fans think about that though? Because I think a lot of fans probably thought about that after if you've watched both, thought about the fact maybe, hey, this is a little bit different.
Well, maybe the hardcore fans, yes, but people who we know that just watch it for the occasional kicks and laughs, or even the people who might binge watch seasons, that's probably not something that they would think about.
Okay. Well, I hope you're ready to get into this episode. I'm going to give 3, 2, 1, and we'll get into it. So, Chris, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
I think we said enough about this intro. And I'm sure any of our fans know. I'm sure, it's a good intro.
It just didn't work with everything else.
You raised the question, the idea of this episode and Demon Slayer, and how they really are close to each other.
Mm-hmm.
But this episode really reminds me of an earlier episode of season 2 of Demon Slayer.
Oh,
talking about
yeah,
brother and sister.
Yep. Yeah, that works. Because they do the whole thing here where he's like, his parents are both sick. He doesn't have a lot of money, and he's just kind of not a great kid. He's like not part of the society.
Which is why he fits in well with the character that he's traveling with.
Yes.
Now this intro, yes.
Absolutely. One of the best opening songs, I think, of this anime season.
I think I'm going to get my band to play this.
This is not a hard one to play. This won't be a hard one. It's not a hard one to play.
Not better yet. I think I'm gonna write it out for my college band.
Ooh, okay.
Can you imagine some tubas?
Oh,
Um, um.
ooh, beautiful. Wait, that girl cried. We haven't seen her yet.
Yeah, we have, but we haven't seen her cry.
We haven't seen her cry. Okay, never mind. We have seen her. Now it's funny that last scene before you get to this part where you see all the little samurais, the one with
Yeah,
the things on his eyes. That's the guy we're meeting here, which is actually kind of funny because that's the first time we see him.
and it's probably it's almost like they did a trade off.
Yeah.
Yeah, we introduce you to this character, and then we're gonna do something, and then now you get this character. Like, okay.
I love how she comes out of nowhere and they don't know that she came out of nowhere. All they hear is the water.
They don't know who or what she is either.
No, they don't.
Ooh,
Right between the eyes.
for real.
So is this another being or is this one of the ones we've already saw?
This is another one.
Okay, that's what I figured.
The hair is different. The costume is different.
Okay.
He's a different one.
Who could also transform into a she at any point.
Right.
Yeah, y'all might just want to run.
That's all they can do.
Yep. Okay, that's
Freaky.
creep. That's creepy. I love how they say she's like, how's he running through the forest with smell and sound? But the thing was, when I said that the first time, I'm like, smell, yes. to a point, sound what he's listening to. There's nothing like wind.
Footsteps.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Sound footsteps. Yeah. Okay. All right. This reveal was kind of interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because
that was her. That was his
you only see
criminal.
Mm-hmm. Right, and then you only see her once in the beginning of the show, and you don't see her again until then.
Correct. I'm like, oh, so she tried to seduce him. But he was like, nope, I'm just gonna kill you outright.
I mean, how do you seduce a blind man?
I was about to say, how Judas was something I also thought about. Like, what? That's a weird thing to do.
Like, I mean, I'm sure you sound good and all, but there's nothing else that's going to appetize me.
Yeah, no, can't see, can't really feel. You can feel, but that doesn't make no sense. I love in this conversation that he says, you took me in when I was at my lowest, basically, and taught me everything. I'm trying to do the same thing with her.
Called him out. He's got a good eye for that.
Mm-hmm. The only thing about this scene I thought was really interesting. They're doing all this talking and they should still be running.
Right.
That's
why.
She's like, she came out of nowhere. You're like, wait, she's probably regen by this point. Whoa, nice.
Woo. I'm used to that.
How you, in one
Ooh.
blow, just gives him 4 holes to his body.
Not even a blow, just like a flick.
Yeah, like a flick of a
Look at
finger.
that
She
flick of
goes,
duties.
I just go see 4 holes in his body. That's. Whew.
Look at that flick of duties.
You know, in the scene, I noticed when they showed that picture in the background, I think the Yamasan, the guard for Gabimaru is in the back of that picture. I'm guessing they were around the same time. Or the blonde haired dude
I
and
never
her around
noticed
the
that.
same age.
Interesting.
I love the fact that he says he had talent, but he lacked the passion to do it. He thought he could do it on his own.
And how many people face with that reality every day?
Hundreds. I also love the fact they go back and say the master had to kill his student. He didn't want to, but he had
Yeah,
to. And the last thing he heard
and
was,
that's
"I'm
tough.
sorry, master." That is, yeah, like you say, that's tough for somebody to do.
Like I think for a teacher, that's probably as a teacher, that's probably the next most worst thing you can do to like taking somebody's birth child. Ooh, that's tough.
And now he's fighting to protect the people he loves.
Yep. With everything he got.
Yes.
It's a different kind of fight when you drop your sword and go to fist.
Yeah, when you're going to
I
fist,
believe that fight's
you're basically going street combat at that point. Like you do not care.
yeah. Yeah, he heard that.
Yep. With his dying
Personal
breath,
fight now.
with his dying breath, he said,
Hmm.
"Run."
Now I like what they do next though. Even though he said that girl was too short for him. His student. He actually married her.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Hmm. He actually did like her.
Yeah, okay. Is that supposed to be like a flash in the future of like they actually got married in his eyes? But
Uh-huh. Because he
okay,
was saying how he asked himself how would his potential would have laid out.
well laid out. Okay. We're brothers. We risked our lives. He risked our lives for us. I love that line.
Man,
It doesn't even. it's better than saying master and teacher and student. It's just saying we're family, basically.
That's why I made that connection earlier.
Yeah, that's the connection with Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
I love this for one thing. You have the ending music playing in the background, but we still have a scene going on. Like the episode hasn't ended yet, and it's like a recollection of what just happened, and you're also tying up that end.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
And then they come in on the crescendo of the background song too, man. I love it.
Mm-hmm. All right. I have to say this. I know we haven't got. This is the first episode of this season that we've gotten a single character development fully. Outside of Gavin Morrow, from start to finish. Gavin Morrow is the only other character we've gotten like great development for, but that's only because he's the main character, and we got a lot from the first couple episodes. But the way they do this is so well done because they go, this dude lives in a village that most of the people in the village don't like him. They think he's trash. They think he's low as the low. Then he ends up fighting these people that want to just beat him up and destroy him. Then one of the Yasamon come and take him in. He thinks he has no potential, but the master sees potential in him. The thing so you're building a crescendo. I'm asked this. What was that crescendo point for you? I'm gonna say mine after you say yours, because I think there's one specific scene here that builds that crescendo to like the highest peak, and then we get to the climax. We go to the ending of the story.
So the climax of the episode for me is basically when he realizes that, you know, that he did the same thing that his master does for him. He actually truly learned what his master did for him, and he learned how to reciprocate.
Okay. I agree with that, but the other one for me is when what's his name, who's already passed away, the one with the eye patch, takes him to that grave and talks about the old student that thought he had all this talent. He said, the master even said he has all this talent, but he wants to do it on his own with no help from me. And then he ended up getting turned to the crime because he's like, I have all this talent. I'm great. I can work on my own. I don't need help. And ending up, the master had to destroy the junior student, had to kill the junior student because of all his crimes. And the last thing you hear the young student say is, I'm sorry, master.
Yeah, because I believe everybody gets to a point of regret in their life.
Yes.
You know, especially when you live a certain type of life and you realize you actually passed up good people and good friends who tried to help you along the way, and then you get to that point and you realize, like, dang, I had it good, but I messed it up.
And then my other thing is, what do you think about this? And I love this dichotomy. He's like, I need to fight this monster. After the master gets cut by the neck, which I think God or whatever you want to call her, says, he should be dead, but he's not. And I'm like, then that just turns him around, goes, he's gonna fight for them. And they give us this epic battle of where He used it. He used the sword for a bit, tried to cut her down, and she was just dodging left and right. What? And then she just gives him one blow with a finger, and just puts holes in him. What you think about that? And then his response is, you know what? Screw the sword. I'm just gonna punch you. I thought that was so
Because at
powerful.
that point,
It's just amazing.
yeah, it's so that's one of those self-sacrifice moments. Where
Yes.
It's like he knew that he knew he was gonna die. So I might as well do the rest of whatever I can to hold this person back. And I mean it's so powerful, but it's so sad. But it's like but you like how do you not recognize somebody's self-sacrifice?
You kind of have to.
You have to be some kind. Exactly.
Like he did it without even second thought. Without a second thought, he did it. And then the big thing that really really kind of hit home for me after that, with his dying breath, he says, he's thinking in his brain, Master, you can't do this. You can't fight it. You can't fight it. I need to speak, but my lungs, my throat's hurt. I can't speak at all. And the last thing he says is run. And you don't even hear him audibly say run, and they don't even subtitle it say as run. You just hear him like just push out something out of his throat.
Just spit up some blood.
Yeah, he just spit up some blood to say something. And that caught the Master just enough, and he grabs the young girl and runs. And the girl's beating on the Master's chest, back and everything, why are you running? We need to help him. And I think that's so powerful because he also knows I'm dying.
To me, that shows that she actually loved him.
Yes,
to me, that shows that she actually loved him.
She cared for him. Even though he wasn't the smartest guy in the room, she cared because he was so willing to defend her honor he spoke up for her to the Master and protecting them as they run away.
That part.
And then to cap this all off, and it's just like icing on top of a very nice cake. They go. So they play the ending music. Do you think the show's over? Nope. What they do? We have an ending scene as the background music's playing, which is amazing, and it's just a young version of the student, which I forget the dude's name, and the Master, which we don't even know his name. Surprisingly, we don't know his name at all. I think they do say it once or twice. He says it once or twice, but it's you just hear them say Master after a while. And he's he's you just get that one fatal blow and you can leave. And he mentioned this early in the episode. He gets the fatal blow, and the Master's you can leave if you want. What's the young man do? He gets on his knees and says, "Continue to teach me." I humbly want you to continue to teach me to become a samurai. And you know what? That's what the Master wanted the whole time.
Yep.
Without even
saying, knew how it was going to turn out.
Correct. Without even saying a word, he goes, you can tell he's smiling at the end. He's like, that's what I wanted. I wanted you to see that you have potential in yourself. My word, this episode gives us a character arc and doesn't even drop a beat. And it feels like everything we've learned from this episode worked. And yes, we're not with the main crew anymore right now. We're probably going to get back to the main crew in episode 9. But I think the thing is, you're giving us the character development that we wanted, but also showing us a new bad guy at the same time. That was a poetry in motion. I have to get.
And not only that, but it shows that there's more than one of those creatures.
Yes,
or there's more than 3. Yeah.
I'm thinking there's almost 4 or 5 at this point. Because if we're seeing 2, we saw 2 earlier. We saw a third. I think there's at least one or two more somewhere on this island, and we haven't met them yet. Because they're the guardians of the elixir of life. She said, I heard all this noise. What's going on? You know, she's like, why are you here? Why are you doing this? But then the other thing I think that's really interesting to me, it's something that the tree said in the previous episode. I think the tree says it. He says, what? You shouldn't be on this island. You aren't going to survive because they are not going to let you leave. Basically saying, if you try to fight these things, they're going to destroy you, and you should have never came here in the first place. So now we're learning this place is too dangerous for people to try to come get this elixir of life. Now you're going to face the consequences.
The tree did try to give him fair warning.
He did give him fair warning.
The tree told him that. Because he told him, I don't have any malice towards you.
No.
But they don't like it either.
but they ain't gonna care who y'all are. They're just gonna do what they have to do.
Nope. They're gonna do what they're. Yeah.
Before we take a little intermission between the podcast, Chris, I'm gonna ask you this: what is your rating for this episode?
I give this a rating 7.2.
Ooh. Explain.
Well, I mean, given it still had a masterful action, and they gave us a great background story that completed the character, but it's like, man, I love when they tug at my heartstrings, but I don't like it either. Like, the only reason they get that score is because you cut off one of my favorite characters.
I agree with that. He's one of the favorites of this episode, of this series so far, and yeah. You did him like that, that's pretty bad. And we only know a little bit about him, which is also kind of bad. It's like, basically, who's going to be left? Because he's passed away now. We still have the other two brothers that we haven't seen from the last episode. One's moving around, the other's out cold. The master of his former master is now bleeding. Like, who's going to be left after we get to, like, episode 10 or 11? Like, there's not going to be many people left.
There isn't many people left now.
there isn't many people left now. I think they're going to try to stick with the main trio, or we're going to learn about new characters soon. Who? I don't know. Because we haven't...
Because I always learn about new characters.
We have nobody really new left that we haven't seen outside the young boy, the young Asamon, and the guy with the beat-up hand. Or the one that had to chop off his hand.
True.
Chop off his hand. But we haven't seen him since episode like 6. I don't know. I have to give this probably 7.8. So a little higher than you, but yeah. You tug at heartstrings, that's hard. And you tug at a character that most people probably wouldn't say is a pretty good character. I think now the big thing, I think you have to build up the girl. He was supposed to be guarding. I think you build her up. I think she gets a huge redemption arc in this, some way, somehow. Most likely, she's probably going to be the one to either find the elixir of life, or she gets revenge on one of those monsters and fully kills it.
I could see that she end up being the one that figures out how to kill him.
Correct.
Interesting.
That would be the best thing for her, because I think that's just a way to give her closure for seeing somebody she cared about die. But also, it gives her the added bonus of like, oh, I figured how to kill these things. I'm going to show everybody else how to. And if I pass away in the process, they know what to need to do.
But at least if she passes away in the process, she is going to be that she's going to go to the guy that she fell in love with.
Yes, and that's the other side. You give her the happy ending of like going to see him again, all that stuff. So it actually makes sense in a sense. I don't know what Mappa's gonna do. Mappa has done so many things right now. I have to give them credit. They have done a very good job. And this is probably one of their. This is one of their. This is one of their side series because they're waiting to finish out Attack on Titan soon. But when they fully just put their teeth into this after they finish Attack on Titan, I think the next arcs are going to be amazing. But that is Hell's Paradise episode 8. We are going to take a quick break. So for next week, episode 9 won't be out till June 2nd. So we might, like I said, we're going to do Demon Slayer and talk about some other things. But do not go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back for Demon Slayer episode 7. So stay right there.